Revenge with Anjo.
Liora Hale arrived at her parents' house on a crisp December evening, brushing snow from her coat as she stepped onto the porch. The glow from the windows made the house look warm and inviting, though she knew the warmth wouldn't extend to her. She carried a small box of homemade pastries, simple, neatly wrapped, nothing extravagant. Her older sister, Clarissa, pulled up at the same time in her gleaming silver SUV. The trunk opened automatically, revealing stacks of color-coordinated gift bags decorated with gold ribbon. "Oh, Liora," Clarissa said with a soft laugh. "Still bringing the minimalist gifts?" Liora forced a smile. "They're fresh," she replied. Clarissa didn't answer. She was already inspecting her reflection in the car window. Inside, chatter filled the house as relatives from out of town gathered around the dining table. Liora stepped in, greeted by the smell of roasted lamb and cinnamon cider. Her mother's eyes widened with mild surprise. "Oh, Liora, you made it," she said, as if Liora rarely attended family holidays. "We weren't sure you'd be free from your projects." Liora placed the pastries on the counter next to Clarissa's towering pile of gifts and tried not to feel the sting building beneath her ribs. Her uncle Trevor, already tipsy from the mulled wine, leaned over the counter when he saw her. "So, Liora," he slurred, "still doing that online thing? What do you call it again? Digital flea market?" Liora kept her tone even. "E-commerce," she said. Right. Trevor chuckled. "My neighbor sells dog sweaters online. Makes like $100 a month. Cute little hobby." Liora didn't bother correcting him. She walked toward the living room, accepting a glass of red wine from her cousin Marin. The television played softly in the background, local news transitioning into holiday specials. But the family barely noticed it, too engrossed in listening to Clarissa talk about her feature in a regional lifestyle magazine. The photographer insisted on natural light, Clarissa announced to the group, showing pictures on her phone. It took forever, but cover shots must look flawless. Their father nodded proudly. "That's real accomplishment." Marin turned politely to Liora. "And you're still living in that little apartment downtown?" Liora nodded. "It's fine," she said. "Very humble," Marin replied, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "But practical, I suppose. For someone who freelances." Liora sipped her wine and let the comments roll over her like cold rain. Dinner was served at 6. The long oak dining table, brought out only for holidays, stretched across the room. Liora sat at the far end, squeezed between her 15-year-old cousin, who kept texting under the table, and her uncle, who had moved from mulled wine to whiskey. "Roasted lamb, Liora," her mother called down the table. "Or are you still on one of those creative diets?" Some relatives chuckled. Liora kept her calm. "Lamb is fine, Mom." Clarissa, seated beside their father like a queen on her throne, was animatedly describing her upcoming trip to Capri. "The resort only accepts returning members," she said. "Very exclusive." "That's what real success looks like," their father said proudly. "Hard work, stability, discipline." Liora stabbed a piece of lamb and stayed silent. Her brother Lucas leaned back in his chair. "Remember when Liora left her marketing job to pursue, what was it again?" He made air quotes. "Entrepreneurial exploration?" Her mother sighed dramatically. "I still don't understand why she left a stable job. It's been, 4 years?" 5, Liora corrected. 5 years, her mother repeated. "And what do you really have to show for it, dear?" Clarissa smiled sweetly. "If you want, I can ask my husband if his firm has entry-level openings." Things worsened when dessert was served. Her Aunt Helen tried to lift Liora's spirits by offering her pie, but only made it worse. "At least you're trying," Helen said gently. "I know how hard it must be to keep a small shop running with such little income." Lucas raised his glass. "Honestly, sis, at some point you have to accept reality. Dreams are fun when you're 20, but at 35, you need stability." "Exactly," Uncle Trevor added, pointing his fork at her. "You can't play entrepreneur forever." Clarissa chimed in with a sympathetic smile. "We're just being honest with you because we love you. Everyone in this family has achieved something solid. And you, well," she trailed off with a shrug. Their father cleared his throat. We worry about you. No property. No investments. No retirement plan. No real accomplishments. Liora felt heat rise in her chest but kept her expression neutral. Maybe she just needs a little nudge, her mother said. A good job. A structured path. I could probably get you an interview at the community center. Yes, Clarissa added cheerfully.
A real job.
Liora swallowed the bite of pie that suddenly tasted like sand. After dessert, everyone drifted back into the living room. The conversation continued. More achievements, more praise exchanged among everyone except Liora. She sat quietly in the corner armchair, the old floral one facing slightly away from the circle. Sweetheart, her mother called across the room. Have you ever thought of taking some business classes? Learn real skills? I worry about you living paycheck to paycheck. Her father sighed. Honestly, Liora, you should be more like your sister. Solid job, investments, a home, respect. Clarissa placed a hand over her heart modestly. Well, I've worked hard. Her husband, Malcolm, smirked. Some people are meant for professional work. Others, well, Leora's cousin's wife added. I read that most online shops barely make anything. Many fail in the first year. Exactly, her mother said. You're wasting your prime years. Uncle Trevor raised his glass again. Here's what I think, and I say it with love. You need to stop pretending you're building something big. Get a steady paycheck. Quit the fantasies. Liora swallowed, feeling their words settle like stones on her chest. She wanted to say something. Anything. But before she could, Clarissa delivered the final blow. You're embarrassing the family, Liora. The room fell briefly silent. Then Clarissa continued. Whenever people ask what you do, we don't know what to say. Liora is experimenting with online selling. It's humiliating. Liora blinked slowly. Humiliating. Yes, her mother whispered. I can't brag about you. And it hurts. Before Liora could respond, the television cut through the tension. Tonight on Evening Spotlight, the announcer's voice boomed, a rare exclusive with one of the most successful entrepreneurs of the decade. We explore how a young visionary built Solarys International into a global powerhouse. No one paid attention at first. Then the next words hit the room like a thunderclap. Featuring founder and CEO, Liora Hale. A plate fell from her mother's hand, clattering on the table. Everyone froze. The screen displayed a sweeping shot of a vast corporate campus labeled Solarys International Global Headquarters, Singapore. No way, Lucas whispered. That can't be you. Clarissa let out a shaky laugh. Different, Liora. Completely different. But the image changed. A photograph of Liora shaking hands with the Prime Minister of Japan at a sustainability summit. Her name appeared again on the screen. Liora Hale, founder and chief executive officer, Solarys International. The room erupted. What is this? Her father demanded. Is this some sort of joke? Liora set her glass down. No, you own Solarys International, her mother whispered. Yes. Lucas fumbled for his phone, frantically searching. Oh my God. She's everywhere. These articles, Liora, this is you. You're on Bloomberg, Forbes, Financial Chronicle, Liora. You're ranked among the top 50 young billionaires. Clarissa's face drained of color. You let us talk to you like that? You were talking, Liora said softly. I was listening. Malcolm stared at his screen. Solarys International reported revenue of $12 billion this year. 12 what? Uncle Trevor choked. You employ 60,000 people? Across 5 continents, Liora confirmed. Her Aunt Helen gasped. Your net worth, Liora. It says it's around $9.1 billion. Liora nodded. Approximately. Her mother made a small sound as if punched in the stomach. But you live in a tiny apartment, she whispered. I like the apartment, Liora replied. It's quiet, close to the river. The television continued. Solarys International revolutionized sustainable luxury manufacturing. Hale's proprietary eco-engineered materials have reshaped global retail. Leora's family stared at her like they were seeing a ghost. The segment shifted to footage of Solarys factories, huge, modern facilities humming with technology. The reporter's voice narrated. Within 2 years of launching, Hale secured partnerships with major retailers throughout Asia. Within 4, Solarys expanded to Europe and North America, becoming a leader in sustainable luxury. Footage followed. High-end stores in Paris and Dubai displaying Solarys handbags, shoes, and accessories, items priced in the thousands, with waiting lists months long. Today, the reporter continued, Solarys International maintains research labs in 8 countries, focusing on ethical materials and climate-positive innovations. Hale is recognized as one of the most influential entrepreneurs of her generation. Her uncle's whiskey glass froze midair. The next clip showed celebrities wearing Solarys designs on red carpets. Her philanthropic foundation has donated over $800 million to environmental projects worldwide, the reporter added. Liora's mother squeezed her chest. You built all this? Yes. The special cut to video of her giving a keynote speech at the United Nations.
How?
Clarissa whispered, as if the word tasted bitter. Years of work, Liora said. Years of silence. Silence, her father snapped. You hid this from us. No, Liora corrected. You never asked. The broadcast continued relentlessly. Footage of Liora in her lab coat, testing materials alongside engineers. Footage of her walking through vast manufacturing floors. Footage of her accepting global awards. Hale is known for her extreme privacy, the reporter said. She avoids social media, rarely grants interviews, and does not flaunt her wealth. Sources say she maintains a modest personal life, living in a small riverside apartment and driving a 6-year-old sedan. Lucas gaped at the screen. This is insane. Clarissa pressed a trembling hand to her forehead. You're, Liora, you're one of the wealthiest women under 40 in the world. Malcolm cleared his throat. Actually, under 38. 38, her mother repeated faintly. And all this time we thought. You thought I was failing, Liora finished calmly. We were trying to help, Clarissa cried. By offering me admin jobs? Liora asked. By calling me an embarrassment? Her father pointed sharply at her. You misled your entire family. I lived my life, Liora replied. You filled in the gaps with your own assumptions. The room fell deathly still. Then, a knock on the door shattered the silence. Her mother stood up, shaky, and opened the door. 2 people in professional attire stood there, camera equipment in hand. Ms. Hale, the woman said with a bright smile. I'm Dana Lewis from Evening Spotlight. We spoke last week about filming some candid family footage for tonight's special. Is this still a good time? The room exploded. You planned this? Her father shouted. The news crew knew before we did? Her mother cried. Liora rose slowly. I told them I'd be with family for Christmas. They asked if they could film a few minutes. Human interest footage. Human interest? Lucas echoed, stunned. Dana was already glancing around the room, assessing the tension. We just need a few minutes, she said kindly. Just something showing Ms. Hale with her family, relaxed and connected. Clarissa sprang to her feet. You can't film us. Not after everything we said. Malcolm tugged at her sleeve. Maybe we can manage. No, Liora interrupted gently. This isn't the right moment. Dana blinked. Should we reschedule? No need, Liora replied. You have enough material. Dana nodded respectfully and packed up. As the door closed behind the crew, the silence that returned felt heavier than before. Well, her mother said suddenly, forcing cheerfulness, this is a wonderful news, sweetheart. Why don't you tell us about your business? We've always been interested. Interested? Liora repeated softly. 3 hours ago, you said I was embarrassing the family. We didn't mean that, her mother rushed. You did, Liora said, not unkindly. All of you did. Clarissa stepped forward, her voice cracking. Liora, you have to understand how this looks from our side. You deceived us. I didn't deceive anyone, Liora corrected. You assumed. I simply didn't correct you. That's deception by omission. Clarissa insisted. Is it? Liora asked. You didn't tell me every detail of your HOA election campaign. Lucas didn't disclose every promotion strategy. Dad didn't announce his salary changes. Why do you expect transparency from me when you offer none? Lucas shifted uncomfortably. Because you're worth billions. And that changes what? Liora asked quietly. No one answered. Her father ran a hand through his hair. We said things we regret. Because you worried about me? Liora asked.
No.
Because you were ashamed of me. The room froze again. Uncle Trevor tried to steady the atmosphere. We're all grown-ups. Let's move forward. You're successful, we're proud. Let's talk about what's next. What's next? Liora echoed. You mean the part where you assume I'll fund your retirement? Clarissa's next vacation? Lucas's kids' tuition? Helen gasped. We're family. Families help each other. Liora nodded.
Yes.
When I was building Solarys, did anyone offer to help? Not money, just interest. Or encouragement. Or basic respect. Silence. For years, Liora continued, I sat at the far end of the table listening to lectures about my failures. I accepted pity, condescension, mockery. I did it quietly, because I wanted to know something. Know what? Marin whispered. Whether you loved me for me, Liora said, or for what I could offer. Her mother's face crumpled. That's not fair. Isn't it? Liora asked gently. Clarissa, you called my life embarrassing. Dad, you called my work games. Lucas staged an intervention. Clarissa's hands trembled. You could have told us, trusted us. I trusted you, Liora corrected. I trusted you to show who you really were. She looked at their faces, confusion, guilt, desperation. And you did. Malcolm cleared his throat, desperate to regain footing. Liora, from a professional standpoint, I have exceptional lawyers. Liora cut in. If you're offering services, I'll decline. He fell silent. Leora's phone buzzed with a message from her executive assistant, Adrian. She glanced at it. The special is starting, she said. You're welcome to watch. No one moved. She turned up the TV. The evening spotlight logo appeared with dramatic music. Over the next hour, the special revealed everything her family had ignored for years. Solarys laboratories with teams of engineers, climate-positive manufacturing facilities, global partnerships with governments, innovation labs designing next-generation fabrics, employee programs providing full health care, profit-sharing, family stipends, and free education. They showed Liora at world summits, touring facilities, meeting leaders. They interviewed her executive team, scientists, economists, sustainability experts, who described her leadership with deep respect. They showed her philanthropic efforts, reforestation projects, scholarships, clean water systems, and her latest project, building clinics in underdeveloped regions. She said nothing as her family's mouths hung open. The special ended with footage of Liora in a rural village, kneeling beside a child outside a newly built clinic funded by her foundation. No press. No bodyguards. Just humanity. Liora Hale, the reporter concluded, is one of the most private billionaires in the world. Her humility sets her apart. She is proof that extraordinary success does not require extraordinary arrogance. The credits rolled. The room sat in stunned silence. Finally, her mother whispered, You built clinics. 23, Liora said. So far. Her father's voice cracked. You never told us. You never asked, she replied. Clarissa wiped tears. I called your work pretend. You did. I'm so sorry. Are you sorry for what you said? Liora asked. Or sorry that you were wrong? Clarissa had no answer. Liora stood. I'm leaving now. Liora, please, her mother begged. We're still family. Liora looked around. Are we? She asked quietly. Because for years, I was treated like an inconvenience. Lucas stepped forward. What do you want from us? We're apologizing. What else can we say? Nothing, Liora replied. Words don't erase years. Helen sniffled. We didn't understand. No, Liora said. You didn't try. There's a difference. Her father raised his hands helplessly. We said those things out of concern. You said those things out of pride, Liora responded. And because you valued achievement more than character. That's not true, he insisted. Then answer this, she said. Before the special aired, when everyone was ridiculing me, did even one of you defend me? Silence. That's what I thought. She picked up her coat. I will continue living as I always have. I won't change a thing. The only difference is that you now know the truth. Her mother's voice cracked. You're my daughter. Liora paused. Then treat me like it. Not because I'm successful, but because I'm human. She walked toward the door. Liora, Clarissa cried. What happens now? Liora paused, her hand on the doorknob. That depends on you, she said. You can choose to grow. Or stay the same. Either way, it's not my burden anymore. Will we see you again? Her mother whispered. Liora hesitated. I don't know, she answered. I need time to decide if being here is good for me. Please don't shut us out, Lucas pleaded. We can fix this. Leora's voice softened. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. She opened the door. A rush of cold December air swept inside. Merry Christmas, she said quietly and stepped out. Behind her, she heard her mother break into sobs. Her father murmured frantically, trying to calm her. Clarissa repeated over and over, We can fix this. We can fix this. But Liora walked to her sedan, an older car with faded paint, and started the engine. Her phone buzzed with calls and texts before she even backed out of the driveway. She muted them all. Snowflakes drifted past the windshield as she drove down the street. Holiday lights blinked through frosted windows. Families gathered inside warm homes, unaware of the storm she had just walked through. Her phone lit up again, another message from Clarissa. Please call me. I was terrible. I want to apologize. Another from Lucas. I was wrong.
Can we talk?
One from her mother. I love you. Please forgive us. Even one from Uncle Trevor. Liora set the phone face down on the passenger seat.
They were sorry now.
Sorry after the wealth was undeniable. Sorry now that they had seen her standing beside world leaders. Sorry now that the world respected her. But would they have apologized if she truly had been what they thought, a struggling entrepreneur scraping by? She already knew the answer. As the city lights shimmered in the distance, Leora's phone buzzed one more time. She sighed and picked it up. This time, a call from Adrian, her assistant. Adrian, she answered. Just checking in, he said. The special is trending globally. Solarys traffic is up 60%. All good news. Perfect, Liora said. How's Tokyo coming? The facility is ahead of schedule, Adrian replied. And Mumbai signed the full partnership agreement. Liora nodded to herself.
Good.
I'll review everything Monday. Enjoy your evening, Miss Hale, Adrian said warmly. You've earned it. She hung up and continued driving, passing glowing shops and quiet parks. The world beyond her family felt calm.
Safe. Hers.
She stopped at a red light, watching snowflakes swirl under the street lamp. Families walked by carrying wrapped gifts, laughing, chattering. She wondered how many of them judged each other's worth the way her family judged hers. In her rearview mirror, she caught her own reflection, tired eyes, soft but strong jawline, hair pulled back in a loose bun. She didn't look like a billionaire. She didn't feel like one either. She felt like the same woman who had spent 5 years pouring every drop of energy into Solarys. The same woman who stayed up nights designing materials. Who lived modestly to funnel capital into research. Who carried doubts and hopes quietly, far away from the people who were supposed to support her. The light turned green. Liora drove on. Ahead of her was a long stretch of road leading toward her riverside apartment, a place filled with plants, books, and sketches. A place that didn't require her to justify her existence. A place where she was simply Liora. The woman, not the myth. The human, not the empire. As she turned onto Meadowview Road, her favorite quiet street, Leora's phone buzzed again. This time, she checked it. Clarissa had written, I can't sleep knowing what I said to you.
Please let me explain.
Another message followed immediately. I want to change.
I will change.
Please don't give up on us. Liora read the words twice. It was the first time Clarissa had ever admitted to being wrong about anything. Another text came, this one from Lucas. I know I don't deserve a chance, but please give me one. And from her mother. I failed you.
I see that now. I'm so sorry.
Liora exhaled slowly. She wasn't made of stone. She loved them. She always had. But love without respect was a wounded thing, fragile and painful. She pulled into her parking lot and turned off the car. The silence inside the vehicle felt heavy yet peaceful. There would be conversations to have someday, but not tonight. Tonight belonged to her. She climbed the stairs to her apartment, unlocking the door to the familiar scent of lavender and paper. Her small living room glowed with warm lamplight. She kicked off her boots, placed her coat on the hook, and set her phone on the counter. A tiny Christmas tree sat in the corner, decorated with simple wooden ornaments she had carved during her rare free weekends. She made tea, peppermint, her favorite, and curled up on her couch. From her window, she could see the frozen river stretching under the moonlight. Birds occasionally flew across, their shadows gliding over the ice. Liora sipped her tea, letting the warmth settle in her chest. The events of the evening replayed in her mind, the mocking, the shock, the sudden regret. She had expected judgment tonight, yes. But she hadn't anticipated the news special airing at the exact moment her family tore her down. Life had strange timing, brutal timing, but sometimes truthful timing. She breathed in slowly, letting the tension dissolve. She had survived harsher nights than this. Her computer chimed, a notification from Solarys communication channel. She sighed, tempted to ignore it, but curiosity nudged her. She opened her laptop. Hundreds of messages flooded her screen, employees from around the world sending holiday greetings. Engineers in Singapore, designers in Milan, production managers in Nairobi, sustainability analysts in Vancouver. One message stood out. Thank you, Ms. Hale. Because of you, my daughter will be the first in our family to go to university. Another. Your clinic saved my mother's life. I can never repay you. Liora pressed a hand to her heart. These people knew her, not her family's version of her. They saw her work, her purpose, her impact. They didn't measure her worth in cars or houses or outward displays. They measured it in dignity, in opportunity, in human connection. She typed a simple response to them all. Thank you for everything you've done this year. Rest well. More good is coming. She closed the laptop and walked to her window. Snow continued to fall, soft and silent. The city lights shimmered like distant stars. She thought of the road ahead, new projects, new breakthroughs, new responsibilities. She thought of her family, too, how much work it would take to rebuild trust if rebuilding was even possible. Part of her wanted to forgive them instantly. Another part remembered every mocking word. She wasn't angry anymore, just aware. Aware of who they had been. Aware of who she had become. And aware that her life no longer fit inside their limited expectations. She whispered to herself, I choose peace. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Peace. Liora finished her tea and turned off the lights, leaving only the soft glow of the Christmas tree. She slipped into bed, feeling the warmth of her blankets wrap around her. Tomorrow, she would wake up as the CEO of a global empire worth billions. She would oversee innovations affecting the future of sustainability. She would continue funding clinics, scholarships, and climate projects. She would chart her own path, one she had built with grit and silence. And she would do it without seeking validation from people who only valued her when the world told them to. As she closed her eyes, the weight of the night began to fade. The road ahead stretched long and open, full of promise. For the first time in years, Liora